Well, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Depending on where in the world you might happen to be, I know that we've got an international audience here. I know we've got people down in the southeast in Florida. I know we got them down in the southwest in California, up in the northwest here in Vancouver and Seattle area. Over in Toronto, we've got some people from the UK, and I know that my friends in Australia have joined us here this evening. So, depending on where in the world that you are, I want to wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, or a great evening. Tonight, I'm going to share with you an incredible opportunity, not just an opportunity, but a company that's produced an incredible product called a Carrot Bar. And I literally believe that we are bringing financially healing into a broken world. And I think it doesn't matter where we look, no matter what newscast we're watching, the sounds on the radio, we watch the markets, we know that we're living in a financially troubled world. And even if we're not watching any of that stuff, I think we all know deep inside, and I've asked this question live to audiences. I said, if you look deep inside, we all can just sense and we can feel that something's not right. Isn't that true? And everyone goes, yeah, it's just something, it's not right. Well, tonight I'm going to help us make sense of some of that. I'm going to show us a complete system, a holistic economic empowerment plan that will help you, enable you, in fact, to not only save money, but maybe for the first time in your life, accumulate real, genuine wealth, and ultimately protect your purchasing power, because it's not how much you make, it's about how much you keep, and we're going to show you how to do that. So this company that I want to share with you, it's a company in Stuttgart, Germany, called Carrot Bars, that has produced an incredible product called a Carrot Bar and has tied it to a holistic earning opportunity called Carrot Bars. Tonight I'm going to show you how we can take some of our existing spending habits, turn them into genuine savings habits, and then get paid in both cash and gold for simply showing other people a better, a more holistic, and an inflation-proof way to save. I want to begin this evening with just a quick rhetorical question, because this is what I honestly believe is probably one of the most powerful financial literacy programs in existence today. Now, that's an interesting word, literacy. What does it mean? Literacy. It means the ability to read, comprehend, and understand. All right, so this is a financial literacy program. I want to take you back to school here for a moment. You remember going to school? Remember learning the 3 R's? Reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? So we all learned the 3 R's. My question to you is, who taught you about money? Now, I did this live in Seattle, and I went, who taught you about money? And everybody in that audience basically went, no one. To which I said, well, that's true. But except, there is one exception, the banks. The banks have actually been teaching us about money. They taught us how to get our first credit card. They taught us how to set up that first savings account. They taught us that they were going to start taking fees from that account. They taught us how to get our first car loan, our first mortgage, our first business loan, our line of credit. They taught us how to borrow for our retirement savings plans. It's these private corporations, these things called banks, that have been teaching us about their financial instruments, their for-profit debt instruments. Now, if they're for-profit corporations, are they teaching us about things that are in our best interest or in their best interest? I think we both come to the same conclusion. So, we have been taught about money, but not necessarily the stuff that we need or should be knowing. Tonight, I want to make sense of a couple of things and show us exactly what we can do about this. Here's a quick rhetorical question for you. When you think about most North Americans, Canadians, Australians, in a really general sense, do you think they have a plan to get themselves out of debt and have the ability to retire in the next 3 to 5 years? What do you think? Let me ask you another question. Do you? And even if you do, how is that plan actually working for you? I've asked that question literally thousands of times, perhaps tens of thousands of times in the last decade. And the answer that typically comes back is probably very similar to what you're thinking right now. And if this is true for you, or if it's true for somebody I want to share with you why that is, why there's no shame in it, and what we can actually do about it, because the numbers don't lie. They will always tell us the truth as long as we're looking at the right kind of numbers. So let's go look at some numbers. I tracked typical goods being purchased in a typical home in a typical week, and I tracked them over 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. And here's what I discovered. You know that a loaf of bread has gone up 959%? Movie tickets have gone up 483%. Housing in many markets, those of you here in the Vancouver, Pacific Northwest, housing has gone up almost 1,100%. Postage stamps, now that's a small spend, but that's still an 800% increase. And milk has gone up 257%. Now I could go on, I could show you more and more things, but let me ask you this. Have you seen a 250 to 1,000% increase in the real wages that you can bring home in the past decade? I don't think so. I sure haven't. And I know that the people that I've been able to ask that question of who can respond to me live, they all go, nope, not me here either. And I listen, I know a lot of people that we would probably consider wealthy, and even they all admit that their dollars don't go as far as they used to. I want to show you why that is, okay? And this is exactly the problem. This is why so many people are finding it so difficult to get out of debt, to create any real meaningful savings, prepare for their retirements, and for the first time feel financially secure, because the inflation that we're being told does not exist is very real if we're looking at real truthful numbers. All right? Now here's the thing. Most people believe that inflation is an increase in the price of goods. And I would like to propose to you this evening that inflation is not an increase in the price of goods. Inflation is actually a decrease in our purchasing power. It shows up. I mean, the symptom is the price of everything goes up. The problem is our money is worth less and less. But if we price goods in a real store of value, something like gold, for example, we'll see that the price remains constant over a long period of time. The easiest way to illustrate this is by looking at a man's suit. Not because there's any kind of a gender bias here, just simply it's easy to track it over a long period, all right? I can go into any historical or biblical text, and I know that the man's outfit, the men's suit of the day 2,000 years ago, they didn't wear suits back then. They wore togas. They had a toga, a fine robe, usually made of velvet. Purple was the color of royalty. So a toga, a robe, a handcrafted leather belt, and a pair of nice leather sandals, leather shoes, okay? And I can go into any historical or biblical text, and I know that the price of that outfit 2,000 years ago was 1 ounce of gold or 1 gold coin. Fast forward to 1960. They didn't wear togas anymore unless you were at some kind of college party, you know, a frat party or a sorority party or something, all right, some toga party. 1960, they weren't wearing togas. They were wearing suits. They had a blazer, a pair of slacks, a shirt, a tie, handcrafted leather belt, and a nice pair of leather shoes. You know what the price of that outfit was? Exactly. 1 ounce of gold or 1 gold coin. Now, for those of you on this webinar here this evening, do you know what the price of gold is today? Okay, so I haven't checked it today. It should be around somewhere around 1230, something in that neighborhood. So let's just make it nice and simple, 1,200 bucks. Today, if you want to go get yourself a nice suit, a proper jacket, pair of slacks, nice shirt, nice tie, handcrafted leather belt, and a pair of fine leather shoes, what will the price of that entire outfit be? Exactly. About 1,200 bucks, 1 ounce of gold or 1 gold coin. You see, the price of that outfit hasn't changed one bit in 2,000 years. It was a gold coin 2,000 years ago. It was a gold coin 60 years ago, and it is still a gold coin today. The only thing that has changed is the value of our currency, because they keep printing more and more and more of it with no value behind it, and the more they print, the less it's worth. And so it takes more of these paper units to get milk, bread, eggs, and housing than it did a decade ago. It takes more of these paper units to get a suit than it did a decade ago, and it takes more of these these declining U.S. notes, Canadian dollars, pounds sterling. It takes more of these things to get the gold than it did a decade ago. But the price has remained absolutely constant. I'm going to give you another example of this in just a few moments. We're going to look at it from another angle. But that's the problem we have today. Since 1971, we have been dealing with what's called a fiat currency. Okay, a fiat currency is literally money which is printed out of thin air. It's not backed by anything. It's not backed by gold or silver or any other kind of tangible or valuable commodity. It's literally money because someone said it was money, not because there's any value. Now, it wasn't always this way. All right, so that's exactly it. Fiat currency means unbacked money. They can print as much as they like, and it's supply and demand. The more you print, the less it's worth. So here is I just want to give you just a quick history lesson on the US dollar. And I know that some of you sitting in other countries are thinking, well, what's that got to do with me? Well, it's got everything to do with you, because the US dollar is still considered the world's reserve currency. All right, now hang on here. I'm going to do it very quickly here. I want to just show you this right here. In 1913, the Federal Reserve was created. Now, what most people believe is that the Federal Reserve is a government institution. It's not. In 1913, a private bank hijacked and literally took control of the U.S. and through it, the world financial system. And if you think I've just invented that, you can go right to their own webpage. They'll tell you that in their own word. It's a very well documented fact that the Federal Reserve is a private bank owned by a handful of private shareholders. Okay, here's what I want you to see. 1913, the Fed opens its doors. A dollar's worth a dollar. It has 100% of its purchasing power. This graph is going to show us a 100-year history down to 2013. The next major, hold on, let's go back here. The next major milestone I want to show you is right here in 1944. That's the year that a set of rules called the Bretton Woods Accord was created, which established the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. World War II had come to an end. The United States was emerging as the dominant global economic player, and to stabilize global trade relations as world trade began to increase. Okay, and we had these wildly fluctuating exchange rates. The Bretton Woods Accord said, okay, the US dollar is the world's reserve currency, it will be back to gold, and then all the other currencies will be pegged to the US dollar. And that system worked okay for a few years. Now here we get to 1971, and the United States is embroiled in the Vietnam War. Hugely, hugely costly war. In fact, the government went into huge deficit spending. And you know what that means, right? That means when you spend more than you have, deficit spending means we are seriously in debt. Up until 1969, we didn't have deficits. 1969, it started. It got so critical in 1971 that the United States was unable to pay its war bills from the Vietnam War. They were spending so much on this effort. Now, here's the thing. When you have a gold-backed currency, you cannot just print more money, because every note in circulation must represent an equal proportion of gold in the vault. And so each note, therefore, is redeemable in gold. They're one for one. It's just easier to carry a paper than it is to carry a hunk of metal in your pocket. The United States was unable to pay its bills. They were unable to print any more money because it was backed by gold. So in 71, Nixon pulled the peg on the US dollar, turning the US dollar into a freely floating fiat currency, unbacked. Print as much as you want. And the more you print, the less it becomes worth. Now, this is not just a US issue, because here's what happened. Remember, Bretton Woods, everybody else is pegged to the US dollar. So when Nixon pulled the peg on the US dollar, he pulled the peg on every other currency, and every currency on the planet literally became a freely floating fiat currency, and they all started firing up their printing presses and started creating massive deficit spending. Now, this chart takes us down to 2013. It's a 100-year history. By 2013, that original dollar has only got 5 cents of its original purchasing power left. It's lost 95%. Today, we're in 2016. We've lost 98% of our purchasing power. Here's what it looks like. This little chart will show us the increase in U.S. money supply, okay, currency supply. I just want to take you here to 2008. I want you to see that this little red line has had a very steady and gradual upgraph, okay? It took 200 years for the United States to put $825 billion worth of currency in circulation. Then 2008 hits. Remember what happened in 2008? That's when all those other bad debts, all the mortgages, the Fannie Mae's, the Freddie Mac's, the subprime mortgages all began to implode themselves. The banking system sat on the verge of bankruptcy, and then the government came along and bailed them out. Well, where'd they get the money? They issued a T-bill to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve printed the money, and then the government bailed out those banks. Who was on the hook? The taxpayer was on the hook. Who bailed them out? The very same guys that own the Federal Reserve bailed themselves out. But here's what I want you to understand. In 2008, we had $825 billion worth of currency in circulation. Then the bailout started, and then QE1, QE2, and now we've had QE3, stands for quantitative easing, means print more money. Here we are at 2016, and we now have $4.3 trillion worth of currency in circulation. Okay, what this means is in 8 years, they quadrupled the U.S. money supply. Okay, and once you understand that every dollar in circulation today is a brand new dollar of debt, that's what our debt is. In 2008, the U.S. debt was $8 trillion. Today, it's close to $15 trillion. Okay, the global debt was $20 trillion. Today, it's $150 trillion. We have a much bigger debt bubble today than we did back then, which means to me, you know, that 2008, if every major earthquake has a tremor that precedes it, 2008, in my opinion, was a tremor. Now, look at this. It's not just the U.S. Take a look at this. Canada. Here's where I sit. 2008, massive expansion of money supply. China, India, Australia, Russia, Singapore. 2008, boom, they all start massively printing money. Okay, I want to talk about this subject of inflation just one more time, okay, because people get confused about it. Inflation is nothing more than the noun form of the verb to inflate. So I want you to think about that. What are some of the things we inflate? Well, we can inflate a bicycle tire, right? We pump that thing up. Pump that thing up. That's what they're doing to our economy. They're pumping it up. We take a birthday balloon and we inflate a balloon. Well, you give that thing one breath too many, and sooner or later that thing's going to pop. And that's exactly what we've got now. You know why the housing market has risen? You want to know why the stock market has risen? Because the market has been inflated with all this phony debt money. That's what's going on. So listen, here's the thing. We've all heard the expression that time is money. I want to leave you with this thought, and I want you to think very carefully about this, okay? If we could measure money in units of time, here's what it would look like, okay? Because I want you to start, I just want you to close your eyes, because I want you to visualize this. Close your eyes for a second, and I want you to imagine $100,000. Go ahead, do it. Close your eyes. 100,000. Most of us can see that. Maybe we see a bank balance. Maybe we see a portion of our mortgage. But we can all see $100,000. It's a number we're familiar with, and we can conceptualize it. Okay? Let's try this again. $1 billion. Or $1 million. Can you see $1 million? Yep. Close your eyes. Can you see $1 million? Yep. We can typically see $1 million. $1 billion. We've heard that term more times than we can count. $1 billion. Can you see it? It's getting a little tougher, huh? It's getting a little fuzzy. How about $1 trillion? How about $1 trillion? They've made 4 trillion just in the United States. They're doing $1 trillion every 6 months in Europe. $1 trillion, can you see it? Do you know what it is? All right, let me help you with this. If time were money, if we could measure money in units of time, 100,000 seconds is exactly 1 day. You can calculate it yourself. 100,000 seconds is 1.16 days. 1,000,000 seconds is 11 days. Watch this jump. 1 billion seconds goes from 11 days to 32 years. That's a huge jump. That's the same thing happens with our money. 1 trillion seconds goes from 32 years to 32,000 years. This is what they've done to our money supply, this unbacked debt-based money. Okay, here's another way to look at it. Okay, if you took a stack of $1 trillion and you just stacked them up, that would reach 67,866 miles, or if you're on the metric system, 109,000 kilometers. Most people trade in their car at 30 to 40,000 miles or 60 to 80,000 kilometers. This is how much they're printing every single year, and it takes us 4 years to drive that far. So you just get an idea of the scale of this. When we start hearing that our debt's in the trillions, man, you better understand that if time were money, we're almost out of time, okay? That's what this is all about. And Voltaire, who the great philosopher, playwright, author, intellectual, okay? He watched the French blow up their currency twice, and here's what he said. Paper money, or fiat money, will always return to its intrinsic value, which is 0. Okay, now here's what J.P. Morgan said, and this is interesting, okay, because J.P. Morgan is one of the chief architects. He sat in the room that created the Federal Reserve. He's one of the architects of the Federal Reserve. Now remember what I shared with you a moment ago. The Federal Reserve opened its doors in 1913. Here's what J.P. Morgan, one of the creators of this private bank, had to say in 1912, a year earlier. He said, gold is money. Everything else is credit. You know what credit is? It's another word for debt. Gold is money. Everything else is debt. And I want you to understand how money gets created today. In Canada, in UK, in Australia, in the United States. The government says, I need more money. Okay, this is why we're all spending deficit spending. Government says, I need more money. So here's what they do. The government, the Treasury Department, issues a T-bill, like a Treasury bill, or a bond. What is that? That's a form of debt that bears interest. They issue a bond. They take it down to the Federal Reserve or the Bank of Canada. Okay, the bank takes it in as a debt secured by your taxpayer signature and then issues the currency, which floods back into the market. In this scenario, every new dollar, every new pound, every new euro, and every new yen that gets created is a brand new unit of debt. We live in a debt-based system, and J.P. Morgan understood this because he created the system that created this system, okay? That's where we're at today. So gold is money. Gold has always been money. Gold has a 5,000-year history of money. God created it. He gave it to us. You can't print it. You cannot expand it. It's finite in its supply, and even the central banks hold it. Okay? So central banks use gold to settle debts amongst themselves. So gold is money. But here's the thing. When most people think about gold, they think of it as an investment and therefore try to compare it to other forms of investments. But gold is money. It's not investment, so we should not compare it to investments. We should compare it to other forms of money, namely our national currencies, our Canadian dollars, our US dollars, Japanese yens, et cetera, et cetera. So let me help you with this, okay? Here's a big idea that I want you to hang on to. See, the price of gold neither rises nor falls. Okay, well, what do you mean? The price of gold goes up and down. No, the price of the value of gold remains constant. It's the currencies which are constantly fluctuating around it. Remember what I shared with you earlier? You know, one gold coin bought you a suit 2,000 years ago. A gold coin got you a suit 60 years ago, and a gold coin will get you a suit today. See, the price in gold has remained the same. It's the currencies. And so the price of gold neither rises nor falls. So when it is said that the price of gold has gone up, what's actually happened is the currency has fallen against it relative to it. And when it is said that the price of gold has gone down, the currency has strengthened, or in some, they use these things called ETFs to manipulate it. Here's a great example. Follow me on this. In 2013, the Canadian dollar and the US dollar were on par. They exchanged almost 1 for 1. And in 2013, an ounce of gold was $12.24 US, which meant that I could buy it for about $12.25 Canadian. Today, 2 weeks ago, an ounce of gold was $12.26 US. So it didn't really change all that much in dollar terms. But you know what? The Canadian dollar in the last 6 months has fallen 35%, and that same ounce is now 1,700 Canadian. Did the price of gold go up or down? Well, neither. It's the Canadian currency, the Australian currency, the pound sterling, and in every major currency around the world, gold has risen when priced in that currency. And what we now begin seeing is that gold is rising and the US dollar is beginning to sink. You know, and a huge announcement yesterday, China has just announced their own gold exchange, and they're backing their currency with gold, which is going to de-emphasize the role of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. And as this happens, we're going to watch the price of gold continue to skyrocket and escalate. Now, I want you to think about this. I bought gold in 2013 for $12.25 Canadian. The Canadian dollar has dropped. It's now worth 1,700 Canadian. So not only did the price of gold go up, but actually the value of that gold that I bought 2 years ago has gone up 35%, plus gold has risen 25% this year just since January. Gold is money, and it holds its value over a long period of time. It's the currencies that fluctuate. So let me take one more look at this just to really just illustrate this point, okay? So the price of gold in purchasing power terms remains constant. I take you back to 1936. In 1936, an ounce of gold was $34.87, and $34.87 and 36 would get you a new suit, a pair of shoes, a tank of gas, a pair of concert tickets, and dinner for two. Today, an ounce of gold is about $12.50. Today, $12.50 will get you a new suit, a pair of shoes, a tank of gas, a pair of concert tickets, and dinner for two. You see, that one same ounce of gold, it buys the same today as it did in 36, bought the same, you know, it's the currency, which it just takes more of this declining inflation-ridden currency to buy these things. But when priced in gold, it hasn't changed a bit. So I hope this illustration is really helping you understand this. Now, this is Alan Greenspan. We all know his name. He's the former chairman of the Federal Reserve. You know what he's famous for? Well, for being the chairman of the Fed, but he's also famous because he is the one that started quantitative easing and all of those bail-in regimes. Now, here's what Alan Greenspan said, former chair of the Fed that creates all this debt-based money. He said, "He who owns gold owns money. In the absence of gold, there is no way to protect your savings from confiscation through inflation." Let me help. I love illustrations, so here's another example. Let's just say, what if you took $1,000 and put it in the bank for 10 years and took it out 10 years from now? Would that $1,000 buy you more or buy you less 10 years from now than it does today? And I think we would all answer it buys us less. Yeah. Okay, that's inflation. You see, inflation is to our money just like moths are to linen garments hanging in a closet. They just eat it away, eat it away. That's the deal. So let me ask you a question, okay? So you're sitting on this webinar. You probably live in a home or a condo or an apartment somewhere. Do you have some form of homeowner's insurance? By the way, I see the chat window is pretty active. If you've got questions, I want you to write them down, because at the end of the presentation, I'm going to open this thing up and I will field questions live. I'll help you with that. So anyway, so you're probably living somewhere. Do you have some form of homeowner's insurance, contents insurance? I bet the answer is yes. And what about medical insurance? Do you have some form of medical insurance? Of course you do. And what about automotive insurance? Do you have any of that? Well, if you drive a car, you have no choice. You must. So what about this? Do you have any money insurance? And you're thinking to yourself, come on, Howard, what are you talking about? Money insurance? Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Gold is money insurance because it protects and it preserves our purchasing power. And we are seeing such a rapid decline in our currencies right now that honestly, for the first time in our history, I actually think gold is not just going to be a hedge against inflation. We're actually going to see investment type properties attached to it. Now, we're not in the investment business. I'm just showing people about the truth about gold. But, this is my personal opinion here. So let's look at a couple more numbers. Since the Great Depression in 1932, under the Federal Reserve and central banking systems around the world, the dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power, while gold, the vehicle that once backed our currencies but does not anymore, has risen in value by more than 5,800%. Like, that's staggering, and this is a real number. We could look at it like this. If you had $100,000 worth of currency in 1932, the purchasing power of that cash today would be just $2,000. So what does that mean? Here's what it means. It takes $100 today to purchase what $2 bought you back then. If that's not inflation, I don't know what is, because they've been pumping up and pumping up and pumping up our money supply, and it's devaluing our purchasing power. All right. We could also look at it like this. If you took that same $100,000 in 1932 and used it to acquire gold, the value of that gold today would be $5,970,000. Since 1932, gold has outperformed cash by more than 5,800%. In the last decade, it's outperformed the stock market by 17%, the bond market by 34%, and just this year, from January to the current time, it's up 20%. So you tell me where we're at, okay? Those are real numbers. So gold is money. And here's a fact. Less than 1% of the people on this planet Earth own any physical gold. Well, we've all heard of the 1%. Who are the 1%? Well, they're the wealthy. Why on earth would the wealthy hold gold? Well, because they know. They know the truth. They know that gold is money. They know that gold is money insurance. They know that gold will protect and preserve their purchasing power. So they hold it. Why don't the rest of us? Well, let me help you with that. There's a couple reasons. First of all, everything we read and everything we see, basically all the experts recommend, get your hands on gold. Get at least 20% of your portfolio into gold and hedge yourself against inflation. Now, today we're more skewed because the massive increase in fabricated money is just rising astronomically. So hold gold. So why don't the rest of us? Well, first of all, today, let's say it's $1,250 an ounce or $1,200 an ounce. Most people just don't have a spare $1,200. Most people are finding it so difficult to begin saving in the first place. They haven't got a spare $1,200 to go get themselves an ounce of gold at a time. So it's unaffordable. They're intimidated by it. Secondly, it's inaccessible to a lot of people. Okay, I get it. Gold is important. I should probably have some, but where do I get it? How do I store it? What do I do with it? So it's inaccessible. And lastly, it's also difficult to use in its current format. I mean, you can't just go down to the gas station or the grocery store, give them an ounce of gold for your next tank of gas or your next loaf of bread and expect to get change in return. I mean, our system just doesn't work this way. So clearly, gold is the answer in terms of being a protection, but we need to get it into a more usable format, and that's really what I want to get to tonight. Listen, I painted a dark picture about our financial situation. This is not a doom and gloom presentation. This is about there's great hope here. I mean, you can thrive in any environment as long as you understand the environment. That's literacy, right? So here's what Karatbars is. Karatbars International is a company based in Stuttgart, Germany, that has created an e-commerce platform and has made it its mission to make 24-karat pure gold bullion available to people all over the world by producing it in smaller, more affordable, and transaction-friendly formats. As opposed to selling it by the ounce, they produce gold bullion ingots in 1, 2.5, and 5 gram increments so that people like you and me can actually begin to afford it and start to create a systematic savings program with it. Okay, this is about bringing gold to the masses. We literally show people how to set up a free gold savings account and then begin acquiring it. So let me share with you some of the intrinsic properties of this product. Okay, so every single Karatbar, so you see some pictures on screen, and here's one here. I'll just hold it up to the camera, and here's another one here. Okay, every single Karatbar is actually pure 24 karat, 999.9 pure gold bullion. All of this gold bullion is produced by an LBMA accredited refinery. So what's the LBMA? Okay, the LBMA is the London Bullion Market Association, and they're the governing body, at least today, that oversees the global gold trade. Okay, but they're also the organization that accredits the refineries that produce the purest form of gold that then becomes gold bullion held by the central banks that comes from what's called an LBMA good delivery refinery. Why is that significant? Well, let's put it this way. If there are, let's say there's 200 refineries around the world, there are a handful which sit on what's called the LBMA good delivery list. All of the gold held by central banks, by the Queen, by Her Majesty, is all good delivery gold. Every single carat bar comes from a London good delivery refinery, so that's what's called recognized. So if you show up in a bullion dealer, they'll instantly know what it is, they know who the refiner is, and they can validate the purity and will turn it into cash. Every single one of these cards, then they take that piece of bullion and they embed it into a credit card-sized piece of plastic. And the reason why they do that, they then laminate it in there, because as long as that piece of gold is still sitting inside that card and that seal, the hologram and the seal around it is not broken, it's proof and validation that the gold has not been adulterated, that it has not been debased, and that it still has all of its original intrinsic values. All right, so that's what the Carat Bar's product is. There's some other security. There's a hologram in there. There's what we call a nanotechnology that validates the purity of the gold. I want to show it to you like this. Okay, now, what I haven't really talked about yet is I do have a long history with gold. I actually know quite a bit about the gold market, far more than I can get into in a presentation like this. But I understand how it's mined. I understand how it's refined. I understand how it's traded. I understand a lot of things. But, you know, so I've been buying a lot of gold. My wife and I have started acquiring, you know, large quantities of gold beginning already as far back as 12, 15 years ago, because I could just see the writing on the wall. And so, you know, I just been putting some of my savings into gold. So when I heard about Carat Bars in small units, where not only could I save on regular intervals, but get paid to show others how to do the same thing, I thought, man, this is brilliant. But, you know, I'm a trust but verify guy. So I got my very first Carat Bar. I ordered some. I ordered a package, and I got some Carat Bars. And I was pretty excited about it, but I wanted to test it. So there's a bullion dealer here in Vancouver, a very well-known, reputable one. They know me when I walk in. Like I said, I've made some purchases there. And so I walked in one afternoon, and Darren, one of the numismatists in there, he came up to me and said, well, hey, Howard, how you doing? What can I do for you today? And I said, well, Darren, I got a question for you. I said, Darren, if I came in here one day and I offered you one of these, would you give me cash for it? He said, I don't know. I've never seen one. So he looked at it. And I watched him. He held it up to the light, and he did like this, and he saw the little hologram, and then he took out a he took a magnifying glass, and then I watched him do it. He took a magnifying, he looked at it. Now, every one of these things has a unique serial number. It's got the refiner's stamp in it. It's got Carat Bars stamped into it. So he looks at this thing, and he kind of acknowledged that he saw it. And then if you look on the middle of the screen here, you see this thing right here called an SDNA reader. That is a small format machine that is tuned to the properties of gold off the periodic table. Well, in a bullion shop, they typically have a larger version of a machine like this. It's a couple $100,000. He then took this piece of gold, this Carat Bars gold, and he put it on his machine, and I watched him. And it sat there for about 15 seconds, and after about 15 seconds, it went beep, 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 and he went, and I read, and it said right across the screen, it said 999.9. He looked at me and he smiled. He said, sure, I'd give you money for that. And I said, really? But you've never seen one. Why? He said, well, I know who the refinery is. I see the serial number on it. And this machine tells me that it's pure. That's as good as cash as far as I'm concerned. I went, man, if this guy who's never seen it before is willing to give me cash instantly, I know we got a winner. And 2 years ago, I rolled up my sleeves. I said, I will make it my mission to go and teach people, educate people about what's really happening in our financial system, why these asset bubbles are being created, and what's ultimately going to happen. A currency crash. Like, honestly, in my opinion, this is what's coming. And gold is a beautiful way to start protecting and preserving yourself from it. So that's what this product is. So at this point, people usually ask me, okay, so what are you selling? And the answer is nothing. What we're really doing here is we teach people how to set themselves up with their own private gold savings account, okay? And all we're doing is showing people how to exchange these declining paper units, okay? So I got US dollars here. I could have Canadian dollars here. We're just exchanging these inflation-rated paper money and exchanging it into gold in frequencies and increments that are at your discretion. So, like, well, I was in Seattle last week and doing a live presentation. I just looked out to the audience at this point and I said, listen, I got a US dollar. Can somebody break this into 4 quarters for me? And actually 2 people said, yeah, I could do that. So I approached one of them, and I looked. They gave me the 4 quarters. I gave them the $1, and I walked back out, and I looked out to the audience. I said, so what just happened? Did I just buy something from them? And they went, no. Did they buy something from me? And they go, no. Well, what happened? You exchanged your paper money for the metal form of the same money. Yes, exactly. And that's what this program is all about. It's about showing people how to set themselves up, exchange these dollars into metal inflation-proof gold money. Okay? And what do? You save, and you save, and you save. And I can't encourage you strongly enough. Now is the time to start getting incremental units of gold, because our inflation is eating it away, all right? And we save them and save them and save them until you're ready, until you've met your savings objective, and then you simply exchange your gold back into cash at the time that you need it, having fully hedged yourself against the ravages of inflation. Now, there's a couple other things we can do here. We also have this system called the K exchange. So you can use this gold in the world. You can take it to a bullion dealer. You can take it to a store. You can use this inside the carrot bar system, okay, and exchange it for gold into cash and cash back into gold live time. Now, I want to share with you why these small units of gold are going to be so critically important in the days ahead. I want to take you back to 1971, all right, just before Nixon pulled the gold standard. Okay, in 1971, 1 gram of gold would get you 5 loaves of bread. In 1971, $1 would get you 4 loaves of bread. Okay, it makes sense actually, because it takes 31 grams to make an ounce, and every dollar was 1/32 of an ounce. So you got a similar but a little different exchange on it. And that would have held constant for a large number of years. 1971, Nixon pulls the peg to gold. Let's look at today. Today, the same gram of gold will get you 20 loaves of bread. $1 won't even get you a quarter of a loaf. It won't even get you a couple slices, okay? Gold, not paper, is sound inflation-proof money. Now, here's what I really want you to understand. I mean, if you're kind of dozing through this, wake up and pay attention now, okay? At this moment in time, in Venezuela, in Argentina, in Colombia, I just came back through. I'm also in the speaking business. I got a training and consulting company, and so I get to all kinds of parts of the world. I get to see everything. In many parts of the world right now, hyperinflation has actually hit. Their currencies are rapidly spiraling. In Venezuela right now, prices are doubling every single day, and store shelves are pretty close to bare. Okay, that's called hyperinflation. Now, at the speed at which they're escalating our currency, I truly believe that we will see hyperinflation in our lifetimes, and probably sooner rather than later. The question isn't if, the question is when. All right, now here's what I want to get to you. Let's say that you've bought into this whole idea that gold is a good way to store and save money and to preserve purchasing power, okay? Here's the thing. If you've done it all in ounces, when you need to convert this back into cash and hyperinflation is here, you can't just cut this thing into quarters and give a quarter of an ounce of gold. You got to give them the entire thing. So let's just keep it nice and simple. Let's say that the value of this is $1,200 today, and hyperinflation is here. You take it down to a bullion dealer, okay? You give him the ounce. He gives you whatever the cash value is, so $1,200. Hyperinflation is you spend $200 of that new cash in your pocket. All right, you spend the $200, but because hyperinflation is here and prices are doubling every couple of days, whatever you don't spend this very moment, you begin losing purchasing power to this hyperinflation literally every second that you don't spend that cash in your pocket. The beautiful thing about these little carrot bars, 1 gram at a time, okay, 1 gram at a time, is that this is a spendable unit of gold. I don't have to cash in a whole ounce. I can cash in a gram at a time. And as hyperinflation hits, the value of gold relative to currency is also rising. So I can take, this to me is a basket of groceries 10 years ago. It's a basket of groceries today, and it'll be a basket of groceries or a tank of gas 10 years from now. And I've got pockets full of these things. And once I understood this, I made it my mission not only to get them as many as I can, but to tell everybody else exactly what this is all about. Now, I had a lady ask me this week, and she said, well, why would I get grams from carrot bars and not out in the open market? And I said, well, here's why. Do you know what a bank holiday is? You know, that they just did it in Cyprus and Greece, and I promise you it's coming here. We will see a day when everybody lines up to get their money out of the banks and they close the doors. If you got gold only from a bullion dealer and you need to exchange it, guess what? The bank holiday has been imposed on where's he going to get the cash to redeem? With this carrot bar system, you can hold it in the vault or you can hold it in your hand. We have a system called the K exchange where you can literally turn your gold real gold that you hold, back into cash, have it deposited into a prepaid MasterCard, and you're up and running, literally converting gold back into cash on the fly. We have a completely integrated, off the grid, outside the banking system, e-commerce ecosystem that will work in the world, in Japan, in China, in Australia, but it'll also work inside the Karatbars ecosystem. This is the most powerful thing that I've ever seen. So listen, we're in the gold savings business and we teach people how to save gold. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Let's suppose that you believe that saving is an important thing to do. Okay, by the way, in this era of near zero interest rates, okay, savers are actually being punished today because you put money in the bank and you get no return on it. With negative interest rates, they actually charge you to keep your money in the bank, and with the fees, we're losing all the time. So forget about even the inflationary thing. But let's suppose that you decided to save $300 a month, 60, 70 bucks a week. Okay, most of us could do that. 300 bucks a month, you did it for 20 years. Over the course of 20 years, you've set aside $72,000 worth of cash. Unfortunately, because of this inflation, which I hope by now we've proven is a very real phenomenon, your purchasing power is now only $56,000, or a net loss of $16,000 worth of purchasing power. What if you decided to take $60, $70 a week, $300 a month, and move it into gold, okay? Well, over the course of 20 years, you still would have put aside $72,000 worth of cash. However, that cash has now been converted into gold in increments over time. The value of that gold today would be $236,000, or a net increase of $164,000. Now, when you think about this, and if you understand that what I've just shared with you is very real, like these are not doctored numbers, can you see the implications of this towards your retirement, your children's education? Or if you're like me, also believe that there will come a day when our currencies are going to devalue rapidly. Can you see the implications of this toward the future? I certainly could. So my question to you is, how would you rather save? In this declining toilet money, or in a real store of value, gold? Well, I know what I have chosen to do. Now, listen, I also have cash. I've also got some stocks and bonds. But I'm putting my savings, all of my cash-based savings are going into gold now because it is a inflation hedge, all right? So with that, so people ask me, okay, well, how do you, okay, I get it. Okay, have I at least demonstrated that inflation is like a real thing? I hope by now that I have. Have I been able to demonstrate that gold does in fact hold its value and its purchasing power over a long period of time? And that in our current environment, we're probably going to see an astronomical rise, okay? I am of that opinion, okay? So now what I want to do is I want to show you our compensation plan, okay? Because people say, okay, great presentation, but show me the money. So let me show you the money. Now, by the way, some people will join us to do nothing more than save gold. I mean, we had a gentleman call me this morning, and he said, listen, I got $50,000. Can I put it into gold? No problem. He's not doing the business. He just wanted gold. But many of us want to create an additional income stream so that we can accelerate our savings. So let me show you how this works. Our whole business model is predicated on one foundational principle. We save money first. I save money first, teach you how to save money first. We then get paid showing others a better way to save, okay? So here's how this works. There are 7 income streams inside the Karatbars system. What I want you to get here is that the first 5 of them are actually part and parcel of your free account. When you set up a free gold savings account, it takes a couple of minutes to do it. Karatbars instantly enrolls you in what's called the unilevel system, which includes 7 compensation streams, all without you having made any spend of any sort. That to me is amazing. There are 2 more income streams which are part and parcel of what we call our dual team affiliate system, and I'm going to show you what both of these systems look like right now. Okay? So there's 2 major components. We get back-end monthly residual income. And listen, we all need and we all want residual income. Most of us trade time for dollars, okay? Or, like I know we got some real estate guys here on the call, or we got some investment guys on the call. You sell a house, you might get a good paycheck, but if you want to get paid again tomorrow, you got to go sell another house. So we all want residual income streams. This, to me, is my 3 to 5 year plan. I know that if I'll work this thing steadily for 3 to 5 years, I will build a residual income stream that will take care of me the rest of my life. The second component is what we call weekly cash flow that comes out of the dual system. So let me show you how both of these things operate together. All right, so let's suppose that you've set yourself up with your free gold savings account. At the very same time, Karatbars entered you into the unilevel system, or what I like to call your personal referral box. You may not have even spent anything yet, okay? Now here's how this works. If you simply By nature of the fact that you're a customer and affiliate, you refer a couple of people to Carrot Bars, show them how to save money, and they open up a free account. Basically, Carrot Bars at the end of the month will calculate the sum total of all products and services, all gold, all products that move, and pay you a commission of between 0.5% and 6% on your entire organization. So what is that? Well, so here you are, you're outside the box because you cannot earn a commission on your own purchases, your own gold acquisitions. But let's suppose that you refer a couple of people, okay? Okay, they're part of your organization. And then those two people refer a couple. That's part of your organization. And those two refer to, and then those two refer to. And over time, this personal referral box of yours begins to fill with people who bought into this whole idea of saving gold. Okay? At the end, now, by the way, I just said two who get two who get two. There is no requirement to get two. Unlike MLM, where you're required to recruit, you're required to buy X. Not here. Everything here is optional. Okay? It's at your discretion. But obviously, if nothing happens till something gets sold. So unless you refer somebody, there is no commission to be paid out. But the point is, let's just say this guy buys a gram of gold every week, and this guy gets a gram, and this guy gets a gram, and this one over here gets a gram, and does that every week. That's 4 times each of these. At the end of the month, Carrot Bars calculates it up, says, okay, this is how many people you got, this is who's active, this is the turnover, and at the end of the month, they give you a commission of between 0.5% and 6% based on the volume of sales that took place and the size of your organization, a couple other simple things. It pays every single month, all without any requirement for you to do anything except make a couple referrals, and a product gets moved. Okay, that to me is amazing. Remember, we save money first. We get paid showing others a better way to save. That's how this works. This is my pension plan, because I know the Canadian pension plan system ain't going to be here, and I'm pretty sure the U.S. one won't be around by the time we need it. So there you go. Okay, part 2 of our compensation plan is what we call the dual team affiliate system. Now, this is optional. Here, we're going to take all those same people that got referred into the personal referral box in the free system, and we're going to take the same people, same transactions, and we're going to build 2 teams out of them. Okay? So here we're going to build 2 teams, 2 more income streams, direct package bonuses and team cycle bonuses. Let me show you how it works. To participate in this side of the compensation plan, you need to acquire one of the Carrot Bars business packages. So what is that? Well, it's a business license. Unlike MLM, where you need to buy every month, you need to get auto ship, you need to fill your closet or your garage full of stuff that you can't sell. Not here. This is an affiliate system, an affiliate marketing plan. You acquire one of the Carrot Bars affiliate packages. This essentially is your business license. We call it a package because each of these licenses comes packaged up with different amounts of gold and sample product and marketing tools. And there's 2 ways to get one of these things. You can earn it through our double income program. Ask about that. So there is no pay to play here. You can literally earn one of these packages, or you can do what many of us do, and that is to simply fast track it and just buy one outright and acquire it. That's what I chose to do. Okay, so there's 4 packages. Let me show them to you. Okay, now in addition to those 4 business packages, those licenses, we also have a program which we call the VIP 100. Now this is really designed for people that have some money sitting in an investment account somewhere, or maybe sitting in a bank somewhere, and they just feel that it's not getting the return that they want on it, or they feel that it may not be secure where it is. This VIP 100 program will actually allow you to move a large quantity of money into gold and really kickstart your gold savings, and we can show you how to structure it in such a way that you can offset the cost of it and literally drive the cost of the gold down below the wholesale price. So listen, there's a couple ways to do that. If this is you, if you want to maximize your savings, maximize the protection of your money, and start to generate some instant commissions, talk to us about this, and we can show you exactly how it works. All right? So here's how this goes. 2 income streams. The first income stream is called a direct package bonus, and here's how it works. You acquire one of these Carrot Bars business licenses, and basically what Carrot Bars will do here, when you refer a new business partner to Carrot Bars and expand our marketing team, Carrot Bars wants to reward you for that. So they're going to pay you a direct commission on a new business license, okay, provided you're the one that referred it. You don't share it with anybody around you. It goes straight from the company direct to you. Here's how this works. The package you select determines the income you make. Unlike MLM, where you need to qualify, it's the package. You buy one of these licenses once, and you're done with it, okay? The package you select determines the income you make. So here's your 4 packages. You got a bronze, silver, gold, and VIP. A bronze package pays 5% in commissions, silver 10, gold 15, VIP 20. And I went and looked at that. I said, wait a minute, same referrals, same work, same everything. I can have 5 or I can have 20. I think I want the 20. So let me give you a tangible example here. So let's suppose that you said, okay, I want to become an affiliate. You become an affiliate. You start talking to a few people, show some videos, webinars, and the person you talk to says, okay, great, I want to become an affiliate and I want the 20%. Well, if you referred that person, Carrot Bars are going to pay you. If you were a bronze, you got 5% of that transaction, or 100 euros. If you're a gold, you get 15% of the transaction, or 300. And if you're a VIP, you get 20% of the transaction, or 400. And I went, wait a minute. Same transaction, I can have 100 or I can have 400. I want the 400. So for me, it just simply justified a one-time acquisition of the larger business license. What it's possible to do is you can always upgrade from one package to another, which is what several people do. So there's your first income stream, direct package bonus, just for simply expanding the team. The second income stream here is what's called the dual team cycle bonus, and this rewards team building activities. It's based on the accumulation of these things called units. And people say, well, what are units? Units are nothing more than an expression of profit margin. Every item in the real world, in the store, in a car lot, okay, everything has different profit margins. Same here. Units express the profit margin that gets shared back with you and me. Every time a product moves, units get attributed to your team. Every time you accumulate 75 of these units, where 50 came from one team, 25 from the other, in any combination, you get a cycle bonus, okay? So if you're a bronze, every time you hit 75, you get 10 euros. As a VIP, every time you get 75, you get 80. Every product has these units. So grams of gold have units, packages have units, everything's got units. Let me show you how this works. Okay, now I looked at this thing and I said, wait a minute. Same work, same units. I can have 10 euros or I can have 80. That's an 800% difference. Again, it just justified to me going for the VIP package out of the gate because I wanted to maximize my earnings right from the outset. Let me show you how it works. So here you are. You set up your free gold savings account. You got your personal referral box. You're getting your back-end residual income. And now you're an affiliate and you're out talking to people. So the first guy you talk to is, let's say you go talk to your friend George. George says, hey, great idea. I love gold. I love residual income. I love 20%. I want the VIP package. So he gets one of those. That puts 100 units on your left team. Now those units are just going to sit there until some units show up on the other side. A couple days later, you talk to your friend Bruce. He says, I love the idea. He acquires the gold package. That puts 50 units over here. Remember, it takes 75 units in a 50-25 ratio. The system looks at it, says, wait a minute, 50 goes into 100 twice, 25 goes into 50 twice. That's 2 cycles. If you were a bronze, you would have got 2 times 10. As a silver, 2 times 40. As a gold, 2 times 60 euros. And as a VIP, 2 times 80. In this example, because as a VIP, 2 times 80, it drops 160 euros into your account. Now remember, because you sponsored both of these guys, you referred them in, you also get the direct package bonus. And if you were a bronze, you would have got 5% of both of those transactions, silver 10, gold 15, VIP 20. So in this example, you get 20% of George's VIP package and 20% of Bruce's gold package. And that drops another 556 euros into your account. And here you go, in 2 simple transactions, you've got 716 euros. That's about $1,000 US. Okay, that's a lot of money. All right, so that's how this works. Now, a couple of days later, Bruce talks to Sally. She joins his team. She's the second one on your right team, the first one on his left team. George talks to Julie over here, and units start accumulating again. And Julie and George hook up. And, by the way, gold is also going. So you're getting 1 unit here and 1 unit here and 5 units here. And so everything is producing these units. Okay, so now you got 570 units sitting on your left team, nothing on the right. Those will just sit there indefinitely until some counterbalancing units show up on the other side. And the system looks at, okay, units show up over here, system calculates it, 11 cycles, and then you get 11 times whatever your status, in this case, 11 times 80, another 880 euros drop into your account. And it just goes on over time, both systems working together. Here's what I want you to get, both of these things. Back-end monthly residual income from the free system, weekly cash flow through the dual team affiliate system. Every time you refer somebody, they go in your personal referral box, they also go in the dual system. Refer another one, both systems. Bang. Now they start referring. Both systems operating together, generating weekly cash flow and back-end monthly residual income. That's how this works. And because we're in the gold savings business, gold is also part of the compensation plan. Every time you generate 200 euros in commission, the system allocates a gram of gold into your account like physical bullion, and the balance of currency gets deposited onto this thing here called a prepaid MasterCard, which you can spend anywhere. 1,000 euros, 2 grams, 2,500 euros, 3 grams, 4,000 euros, 4 grams. So let me give you an example. Okay, so last week I got 4,000 or maybe more euros in commission. The system allocated 4 grams of gold into my account. Okay, so 4 times 60, 240 euros got deducted from the 4,000. Gold went into my account. The 3640, basically, the 3660 went over onto my MasterCard. I then took that MasterCard, bought myself 10% more gold, so I got 4,000, so I bought another $400 worth of 400 euros worth of gold. Every week, my gold accumulation is going up. Every week, my cash flow is also going up. And that's how this works. And what I love about it the most is that there's literally no spending. There's no storing, no inventory, no selling stuff to your friends, no telling somebody that they're overweight and need to lose weight, no telling anybody that they're unhealthy and need to eat your vitamins. We're literally saving money and inflation-proofing ourselves and then getting paid to show the same thing with everybody else. I love this, all right? So our simple business plan is a very simple 3-step system that will enable you to save money, accumulate wealth, and protect your purchasing power. So what are they? 3 steps. Step number 1. Open your free gold savings account. There's no obligation, there's no risk because you're not obligated to anything. Step number 2, if you believe that saving money is an important thing to do, and you can now see that gold is probably the best way to do that because there's no inflation on it, start getting a gram a week or 2 grams a week or a gram a month in frequencies and amounts that you can do. Okay? And then step number 3, simply pick one of these affiliate packages. If you want to turn this into a business, begin referring and start generating powerful weekly cash flow out of this system. Why is this so important? Okay, this is the only system on the planet that I have seen that will give you the cash flow so that you can pay down your debts and have excess money from which to begin to save, and then put that money that you're saving into an inflation-proof vehicle. This is a completely holistic, integrated e-commerce platform that will inflation-proof you for years to come. That's what this is all about, because you cannot outrun exponential inflation on a declining linear income. This system will get you on the right side of that curve. Couple of words on the company, and then we'll just bring this to a nice conclusion. Okay, Karatbars was founded in 2008 by a gentleman named Harold Zeitz. From 2008 to 2011, he started building relationships with the LBMA, getting the LBMA certifications on the gold and everything else, all right? And then basically opened the doors for business in 2011. Year 1, we did 2.2 million euros in sales. Year 2, we quadrupled to 8.5. Year 3, we quadrupled again to 30 million euros, by the way. Last year, we finished the year at 45 million euros, okay? Half of that was in gold sales. Today, we're about 360,000 affiliates around the world. There are 7.5 billion people on this planet. There's 350 million in the US alone. We operate in 123 countries. We are literally just getting started. We're just starting to get traction. And I would suggest to you this, that we are sitting right here. Man, we are in what's called the momentum phase. And this is we honestly believe we're going to hit about 1 million affiliates this year. And I want to propose to you that you are at the right place at the right time with the right company that has the right product, because people are thinking about this. People are waking up to this, and they're looking for you. My question is, will you let them find you? This is Harold Zeitz. He's the founder. He's the CEO. He's a multimillionaire, made his money in precious metals and insurance, and basically said, it's my goal that with this company, we're going to bring gold to the masses by producing it in small, affordable units. And it's my goal and objective that with this company, Karatbars, we will help millions of people find true financial freedom and get out of the current financial system of debt. And he totally means this. So with that, I say, listen, I say, behold the power of gold, but what I want you to understand is this is so much more than gold. This is a complete system to finally get people financially emancipated. Come and join us, because every human being on this planet deserves to be financially free, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're creating a debt-free, financially secure society, beginning with you, all those people we haven't met yet, and then ultimately with me, and we're going to do this together. All right, so I say with that, God bless you. If you got questions, I want you to type them into the chat box, and I will field them here. I'm recording this. We're going to post this live and probably in the next couple of hours, and thank you so much for giving me a part of your morning, a part of your afternoon, or a part of your evening, depending on where in the world you are. With that, I say thank you so very much. We do this presentation 3 times a week. That was 4, 3 times a week. Mondays at noon, Tuesdays at 6, and Thursdays at 4 Pacific Standard Time, and that allows us to hit every time zone. Bring your guests, grow your business. I'm here to help you. Okay, so I'm just going to check the Q&A box. I'm going to check the chat box, see what kind of questions we have. Johnny asks, one question for you. What are your thoughts of the report that Canada sold all of its gold holdings? Well, it's true. I will tell you this. I personally own more gold than the entire nation of Canada today. I am shocked, I'm horrified, and I'm disgusted by it. I think, honestly, my opinion on that is the fact that there is honestly, our global financial system is being taken down. I believe that, many countries inside the G20, certainly the G8, are aligning themselves, becoming closer together again. We're aligning our borders. And I think the selling off of our gold was just bringing us one step closer to amalgamating us in with the United States and the Eurozone. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm actually shocked and horrified. I'm disgusted by the fact that our government did that to us, but it just shows me that we are financially not in a very good place. That's what I think of that. All right, now I see that there's some stuff going on here in the chat room also, so let me see here. Yes, no. How will this work under a one world government? Will it not be confiscated? Well, I honestly believe that the powers that be are no longer interested. Listen, back in 1933, right, Roosevelt issued the executive order to ban gold and confiscated the gold. The reason why he did that is because people around the world were hoarding gold. And at that point, you still had dollars that were convertible into gold. We don't have that situation today, so I don't think that's really a risk. In fact, the government has done everything in their power to try to downplay and minimize the importance of gold, while they themselves, for the most part, have been buying it up. Listen, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen. I highly suspect that it won't be. But what I would totally say this: if you hold any gold, do not hold it in a bank. Do not hold it in a safe deposit box in a bank, because if they call that bank holiday, by the way, many people are not aware of this, and I don't talk about it, but not on this webinar anyway. But in 2013, every G20 nation passed a new set of laws called the bail-in rules. Now, each country calls it something different, but bail-in rules basically changed all the international banking laws in every sovereign country, including Canada and the United States. And what this now means is that when you put a bank, in 2008, they did all the bailouts, okay? So the government bailed out the banks, okay? They know they can't get away with that again, so they changed the banking laws. And here's what happens. Now when you make a deposit into the bank, your money is no longer yours. The minute you deposit into a bank, you are now considered an unsecured lender to that bank. And if the bank becomes insolvent, they now have the right to confiscate your cash and bail themselves out with your money. And if you think it can't happen, it happened in Greece and Cyprus 2 years ago. It happened in Italy a month ago, and it happened in Austria last week. In Austria, they had bail-in programs, and I want you to recognize one thing. You just go do your due diligence, and you go search out the history, okay? The Great Depression, which triggered in 1929, began when an Austrian bank became insolvent. Our banking system around the globe is insolvent. It is hundreds of trillions of dollars into derivative bets that are about to implode. Listen, gold is now... What I love about Karat Bars is that we're holding this gold outside of the banking system, completely legally, completely legitimately. So I think it's highly unlikely that this gold will be confiscated. We have a bullion bank in Singapore. We operate in the Dubai zone. My opinion is I think there's very little risk of that happening, okay? So that's what I'll say about that. So is all the gold in Karat Bars sent directly to the purchaser? What about our RSPs? Are we wiser to cash out and put it in Karat Bars? I'm not an investment advisor. I will not give you investment advice. I will tell you what I have done, okay? And by the way, like you'll know how serious I am when I tell you this. Honestly, I believe that we live in a housing bubble. I don't think it can go on forever. I think the markets have all been pumped up because all this artificial near zero interest money has inflated all of these markets. All right, I sold my house in October last year, and listen, I'm renting. I never thought I would say I'm happy to be a renter. I am renting right now because I do believe there is a financial storm. Listen, if we all know what a tsunami is, right? That's when that massive tidal wave comes on shore. Understand one thing. The tsunami does not happen on shore. It happens 500, 600 miles out at sea before you ever see it. Okay, so I honestly believe that while we have not seen the tidal wave on our shore yet, it's already here. Our financial meltdown is already here. I basically got rid of my property. I keep enough on hand to pay my rent, and I put the balance into gold. I'm saving and protecting myself. I will not tell you where that gold is. Okay, it's not in one place. It's in lots of different places. Okay, but having said that, I never believed in RSPs. I believe they basically give you a tax break today so that they can double tax you when you can least afford to pay the taxes. I've never been a buyer, and I don't hold any RSPs. I've never done it. For a while I did, and you can take them out 5,000 at a time with a minimal hit. You may want to think about doing that, but that's entirely up to you. Go talk to an investment advisor. I'm not one of them. This recording will be available where? It's going to render, and this recording will be at savecashandgold.com in probably by tomorrow morning. Save Cash and Gold, that's where you're going to find it. All right, so I think that's all the questions. Hold on, maybe there's some more questions. Let's keep going. Let's keep going here. What else have I got? That's all we've got. All right. Well, guys, you asked great questions. You gave me your attention. I want to say thanks so very much. I appreciate you giving me your time and your attention this evening. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it informative. But more than anything, I hope it caused you to be I hope it was thought-provoking enough to cause you to want to take some sort of action for yourself. All right. God bless you. Have a great night. Behold the power of gold, because this is so much more than gold. We are on a mission to bring gold to the masses and literally create financial emancipation, because we all deserve to be financially free. Good night. Happy Thursday. See you Monday.